Venky, Real
Our
Sports.
Wheel Sports Venky, of
Yeah,
course, the
yeah.
legend.
Nelly, if you remember.
Yeah, Nilesh Dupal.
He said that I'll be your official mechanic for the Tour of Nilgiris and so on and so forth. So that's how we gathered in 2008. And it was very basic setup. The riding fee was 10,000 rupees. That provided accommodation and basic support on the way. Basic food as well.
Right.
That was it. I remember one of the scariest time that I had was when someone actually got lost between Viceroy and Sultan Batari. Someone got lost, and I'm like worried because now what do I do? Because we did not have a tracker on anyone, right? So, but then finally all worked out because two jeeps went around and looked for the person and carried them home. So that and Sultan Batari, the place that we stayed in, had the beds had bed bugs. Physical fitness feeds into your mental fitness, and your mental fitness feeds into your physical fitness.
Right.
That will always be there, and if you're not physically fit, you'll mentally be also going down. And that's, I think, again, balance is the most important part. You cannot just keep doing fitness. Life has to happen along with it, and fitness has to be part of life.
I am Venky, a working professional in IT as well as an amateur masters athlete and a coach for endurance sports. You are listening to the Working Athlete podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, I have a small request from you. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also let me know what you like and what you would like to listen to more of by commenting in the comment section on YouTube. I promise to do my best to improve with each episode and bring you the best content that helps you and me get better each day. In this episode, I talked to my friend and teammate at Spectrum Racing, Ravi Ranjan Kumar. Ravi is also the founder of Ride a Cycle Foundation and one of the founders of our beloved multi-day cycling tour, Tour of Nilgiris. He was one of the earliest riders in the Bangalore cycling community, and it was great to go down the memory lane to talk about the early days of Bangalore cycling, the genesis and the initial years of Bangalore Bicycling Championships, our team Spectrum Racing, and Tour of Nilgiris, among other things. Ravi has moved to Europe on work in 2016, and he also shares how his cycling and running changed ever since and what he enjoys doing now. This episode was my way of catching up with an old friend while capturing some of the early years of cycling and running in Bangalore. I had great fun. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. This episode is brought to you by The Bike Affair. If you are in search of a one-stop destination that caters to all your cycling needs, our today's sponsor, The Bike Affair, is the perfect place to check out. I have known the founders of The Bike Affair, Krish and Gokul, personally for nearly 15 years now. In fact, my first century ride was with Krish back in 2008. They are both exceptional human beings and entrepreneurs that believe in providing exceptional service to their customers, and it shows. With over 14 years of experience, the Bike Affair has established itself as a trusted source offering honest advice and exceptional service. They are offering a special treat for the listeners of this podcast. You can enjoy a 10% discount on your first order by using the code BikeyVenky on their website. So if you are in Hyderabad, visit their store in Kondapur, or if you are anywhere else in India, shop online by using the link thebikeaffair.com. I will leave the link in the show notes. Now, enjoy the podcast. Hi, Ravi. Welcome to the Working Athlete podcast. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks a lot, Venky. Thanks a lot for having me. And it's great catching up with you again after so many years.
Yeah. It's been ages.
Ages, yeah. I guess we are seeing each other after what, about 8 years or so? Did we see the last time when I was here?
No.
No, it's going to be 8 years then.
Yeah.
It is.
When was it that you moved to Austria?
This was in 2016 and around that time.
And you came once in between. I think we might have met.
Oh,
somewhere in
yes.
this.
I had borrowed your bicycle at that time. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes. This would have been in 2018.
Yeah.
Yes. I had borrowed your mountain bike so that I could go around. So I did that.
Which was yours.
Well, but it was yours because it was yours at that time.
Nice. So yeah, great to catch up with you again after all these years. So let us go back and talk about what was your relationship with sport growing up, if any.
Growing up, it was in general with my parents, whatever that I did, grew up kind of, I come from Bihar. There's not much of a sports culture, so to say, there, neither at that time nor now. But sports culture is there in a way that whoever chooses to get into sports, they do it professionally. Otherwise, they eventually, at the end of it, they need to earn their bread and butter.
Yeah.
Right. So, so I was one of those guys who would study, and my parents forced me to study like any other kid there. So I did fair bit of, let's say, walking or playing in the school, cricket, usual. There was a game called Pitto that we played with a ball hitting each other and kind of a thing, right? So we'll hide behind the, tree or something like that and hit each other with the same ball, and it was a chaotic game, but that was also fun. I remember I also played some of those gilli danda thing and the kancha thing, all those things. So not very sporty in a way, but was active, let's say, to say the least. Hide and seek and all those things, right? But not necessarily in a way wherein I was trained in any kind of sports per se. No.
Right.
It was all gully games, if you may.
Yeah. But when did you kind of get into running and cycling, as we know you from, right?
So this happened in 2005. No, 2000, no, 2004, 2003, in fact, 2003.
Wow.
Yeah, 2003. So I got married in 2002, was happy and everything was nice and whatnot. Me and my then wife were constructing a house in Sarjapur Road, which still exists. And my father-in-law at that time came to see the house as to how it is being done. He's a civil engineer. So he sees everything, and then he looks at my belly. It's a tiny bit outside because I had eaten good lunch. He said, And I said, this is not good. And that basically put me on track of running. I started running with 100 meters of running and 100 meters of walking. That was my first run the next day. And that's how it all started. Then I got into 5K run, 10K run. Then I started running one of the Runners for Life, regular runs that they used to organize over the weekends behind the HL airport, the old airport behind that. They used to organize some of the runs, and they also organized some of the marathons and ultra marathons. I participated in all of them, ultras as well. But at some point in time, it became kind of monotonous because when you're running, the scenery doesn't change that much. But one thing that I liked about running is that after certain kilometers, based on what stage you are in or how long you have been running, at some point in time, you get into some kind of trance, and that stage is nice.
Right.
But still, before you get there, it is fairly monotonous. And this is how I got into mountain biking. I mean, mountain biking as in using mountain bike on road. That was mountain biking in Bangalore in those days, right? So that's how I bought my first mountain bike. And this was from Rohan Kinney at that time. That was the first bumps on the saddle store that he had on top of his, one of the houses in Jayanagar, and under a shed. So that's how I guess this was 2006 December or 2007 December, something like that. And I actually, they were not supposed to be open that evening. They opened it for me, Nikhil and Rohan. And I carried a gift for them. Santa's hat that they sell it on the side of the street, close to the Christmas at that time. So I carried that for them because there's going to be a gift for me, and those are these guys are my Santa.
Yeah.
So I bought that and I started riding that. That's how I got into cycling, running, cycling. That was my initial part of my journey as such.
When was this cycle? When did you buy this cycle? 2007, 8?
2000, I would say 2006. 2006.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
After good, rigorous running for about 3 years, I got into doing this 2006.
Nice. And what was the initial riding like those days, 2006, 7?
I used to see. I lived in Sarjapur Road at that time. That place was fairly pristine in a way at that time for riding. Yeah, it was nice to ride around on a mountain bike, just explore some trails. I used to just go by myself sometimes, just take my bike and just keep going. There's so much of, let's say, eucalyptus jungle and all that. It was just fun riding there, exploring and doing things. And coming across some small localities, some small villages and talk. That's how I learned Kannada, by the way.
Right.
Yeah. So I used to talk to the person who used to, my driver at that time, but I learned more because I started exploring and I started talking to villagers there, and I started eating in one of those restaurants in the villages, which is how the IVC rides came into the picture.
Right.
The Idli Vada coffee ride.
Yeah.
So that's where I used to ride. Generally, I'll ride about 70-80 kilometers the first half of Saturday or Sunday, one of the days, and the other day I'll run.
Right.
So my love for run never died, really. Yeah. So I kept running all the time, but I also rode. I would say I equally ride both the sports, really, running and
right.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about riding trails in Sarjapur.
Yes.
I remember when I first came into Bangalore, 2010-11, right? I used to go out, Ullas Hola, and a bunch of us actually used to go out. I used to come from Ramurtinagar to Sarjapur.
Yes.
Because that's the area where all the trails were there.
Right.
And now imagine, right? There are no trails.
No trails.
Yeah.
It's all concrete jungle. I can't imagine going there. I can't imagine living in my house that I lived in for quite some time, really.
Right.
About 12-13 years that I lived in there. Towards the end, I was still not very happy there because of the traffic and all the thing. But now I can never go back there. No.
I remember 2008 or something like that, the Sarjapur Decathlon came up.
Yes.
And there used to be this person there who used to kind of lead some trail rides.
Yeah.
And we used to join him for sometimes, and otherwise sometimes we just explored.
Yeah.
It was quite amazing trails, like eucalyptus jungles, this, that, like quarries.
We used to come across quarries and the and the lotus ponds and things like that, right?
Beautiful place, yeah.
Could be, I mean, people cannot imagine that Bangalore was that beautiful at that time.
Right.
Also, that, yeah.
So, and that Sarjapur and Whitefield also had trails.
Yeah.
And the first time I met Craig was on his old Beta, steel, MTV. He was gunning it on those trails.
Yeah.
That's where
He is the beast, right?
Yeah.
As usual.
That's how I met him there.
Oh.
And I was like, now imagine both Whitefield and Sarjapur are anywhere else in Bangalore. It's like
it's impossible to do anything like that.
Like you had to go like 40, 30 kilometers outside to kind of ride. But
this was this delta between Sarjapur, Whitefield, and Outer Ring Road, and on the other side,
Turahalli.
So this delta was pretty much our play arena. As such. We used to do all that there.
Yeah. Now only Awalhalli, and if you just go towards Nandi, Avati, these are the two things that I'm kind of that people are still able to ride. DBs.
Okay.
Otherwise, But do you remember, like, what was your first race, the genesis of racing in Bangalore? How and when did it start?
Yeah, so so MTB Himachal used to happen even before that. That you know this.
Yeah.
So I said, if I do not want to go that far just to race, I want to have a race here, and I said, let's do a race. I called for a race starting from Hebbal to Nanda Hill stop.
Wow.
Yeah. And we said, okay, we'll time ourselves. That's honor races timing as such, right? It doesn't matter at the end of it. So someone also volunteered, and the day before the race, I fell ill, so I could not go for the race that I called for the first time. And I remember a couple of guys I'm still in touch with, those who participated there. Gaurav Aradhya was the first, first races guy, who won the race as such. Ashish Sharma, he's still there. I'm not sure if he was second or third or something like that on his old Hero Hawk.
Wow.
He climbed all the way up, right? So that was the first race that I called for but couldn't participate. The second was, in fact, a real mountain bike trail ride near my home on Sarjapur itself. So this was, in fact, about 7 kilometers loop. And we said it's going to be about 4 loops or something like that.
Right.
And the day before it had rained. And Sarjapur Road and red soil.
Red soil.
It just sticks to it, things. So, so it was massive participation in that. Like a lot of people, and my neighbors were bringing tea and this and that, and people were also enjoying the whole thing. And a lot of people also of course volunteered. So that was the second race.
Wow.
I remember. Yeah.
And there was this Vasu Mishra and Jagannath Murthy. These guys also started what eventually ended up being BBCH. Am I mixing up things, or is it like the same things?
It is. I mean, see, I started with something that I just wanted to ride myself. After that, Jaggi and Vasu and all these guys took it over, and they went on with that.
Right.
And I said, I wanted to ride, and there's something that is available which I can ride, and I do not have to go to Himachal to ride a race.
Right.
And I did not. I just took a step back.
Nice. So they and these guys, like you were saying, right? You just show up. And then a couple of guys used to volunteer to time or all that.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I came to one of those races was one race on that near Sarjapur on that Chandrapura road or something like that.
Yeah, that goes towards electrons, a little ahead of electrons. It comes out a little ahead of city, right? Yeah.
It used to be called like time trial lane or or something like
Yes.
that
Yeah.
because of this.
Yeah.
And I was in 2011 February or something like that, and I came there. Everyone was like, warming up. Samim Rizvi was there on the trainer and, quite fancy. And then rest were like going up and down. Naveen Raj, I remember seeing Venkatachalam, Vasu, and all these were like, volunteering and timing.
Yeah.
And it was like such a great vibe to
Yeah.
be there,
Yeah.
watching that. I was like, wow. I was on my Hero Hawk, just rode there to watch it, and was super impressed. I thought, oh, these guys are pros. But that kind of ignited something in me. I although I would say I would never race and all that, I eventually the same year ended up racing towards the end.
Yeah.
But I always used to show up to watch these races.
Okay.
Including the Nandi race in 2011 and all that. It was amazing atmosphere. And, it's how these things start, right?
Yeah.
Like someone thinking, I want to participate in race. There is someone, far away is doing. Why not start something here?
Exactly.
That's how BBCH started. That's how bar started with me, and a lot of things. Unless you, if you want something, just go ahead and don't wait for someone else to start it. Start doing it.
That was the attitude, exactly. That was the thought process overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you were also the founder and the someone who started something even more like close to my heart, which is Tour of Nilgiris. Let us talk about how it started, because I remember those bike zone days, right?
Yeah.
That forum, bike zone forum. Oh man, Abhi, where are you?
He's in Luxembourg somewhere.
Yeah.
I would like to go and meet him one day, really.
Yeah. And that guy gave a platform for all of us nutties, right? To just talk about bikes, share so much passion on the, about bikes.
Yeah.
And there. And, let's talk about how it came, Tour of Nilgiris kind of started. Came about.
This was June of 2008 when I had a little bit of time in my hand, and I was thinking, okay, this December I will have some time to ride, right? And I would like to do some tour. And at that time, BabaVelo posted similar. So generally, if I were to ride tour, I would go by myself, right? No, 2-3 days tour I had done before that by myself.
Right.
But BabaVelo posted that I would like to ride in India and so on and so forth. And to that I responded that I plan to do around Christmas, and this is my route that I want to do. And he said, I would like to ride that too. And then we named it Tour of Nilgiris. Right.
Nice.
The name was coined right there on this bike zone.
Right.
And that was the bikes, probably the longest thread the bike zone had at that time, right? So then we started planning, and when people joined in, people also wanted to ride, so they wanted to join in. Some people wanted to volunteer, so they joined in as volunteer. I said we should give it some kind of organizational shape, because if there's so much of interest, then there should be some structure to it. And that's how we started Rider Cycle Foundation.
Right.
And there were a lot of people who put in a lot of effort, to name a few. Pradeep, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pradeep Banavara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pradeep, and of course Deepak, who still is
Deepak Majpatil, who is still running it.
Yeah. Sharat Raju.
Yeah, Sharat Raju, Barefoot, Vibram, I don't know, what was that? Yeah, he did a bunch of stuff.
He was at Decathlon at that time.
Yeah.
Venky, Wheel
Our
Sports.
Wheel Sports Venky, of course, the legend.
Uh, uh, who else? I think at that time we had Nelly, if you remember.
Yeah, Nilesh Dupal.
Yeah.
Nelly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now he got into the no, I think motorbikes.
Motorbikes, yeah.
But at that time he was big time into
FTVs, mountain biking.
mountain
Yeah.
bikes, and he helped us. He said that I'll be your official mechanic for the Tour of Nilgiris and so on and so forth. So that's how we gathered in 2008, and it was very basic setup. The riding fee was 10,000 rupees. That provided accommodation and basic support on the way, right? And basic food as well.
Right.
That was it. We did that. In fact, I remember one of the, let's say, scariest time that I had was when someone actually got lost between Boys Town to at the foothill of I forgot the name of this, Sultan Bateri.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So between Boys Town and Sultan Bateri, someone got lost, and I'm like worried because now what do I do? Because we did not have a tracker on anyone, right? So, but then finally all worked out because two jeeps went around and looked for the person and carried them home. So that was, and Sultan Bateri, the place that we stayed in, had the beds had bed bugs.
Oh, Sultan Bateri is always a problem.
Yeah.
Accommodation there.
Yeah. So, but other places were cheap and nice because the idea was to make it affordable at the same time. Do with the minimal thing, do the maximum, riding as such. So that was the idea. So other than that part, as such, I think 2008 TFN was perfect for me. It was like a dream ride for me. One of the rides that I'll never forget.
Right.
Yeah.
So what were some of the memories from that? The first one is always special, right?
Special, yes.
So how many riders were there? How many kind of volunteers were there? And how did it all kind of go? I think one of the places in Ooty was like YMCA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So walk me through that because I wasn't there.
Yeah, it's there were all different kind of characters, man.
Right.
Okay, so let me I don't know where to start. There's so many things that are coming.
Let's go.
Yeah. So of course, riding from here to Mysore wasn't
Great.
It's a highway and it's not shaded and all that. So it was, but it was the first day.
Right.
And we were, first TFN, first day, everyone was in,
Full
super
spirits.
happy.
Yeah.
And so it was nice in that way, adrenaline and whatnot. In fact, the challenging part was climbing up the Ooty.
Right.
And it was long. We climbed from Sultan Bateri to Ooty, right? So it was long.
Bangalore.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was challenging. And for the first time, we were doing, and I was doing it for the first time, Ooty. And Ooty was for me like, my God, right? It's a big thing.
Yeah.
It did not turn out to be a big thing as such. We had a couple of other characters, by the way, 3 characters that I would like to remind. One was Seema. She is in Odisha nowadays. I'm not much in touch. She came to promote cycling as a alternate mode of transportation in cities as such. She was representing some kind of NGO to do that. Dr. Renu was representing Manipal Hospital.
Right.
So Manipal Hospital was one of the sponsors. And other than Nelly, I would say, I forget.
Iggy?
Iggy, yes.
Yeah.
Iggy. Man.
He's in Pune nowadays.
Yes, Modi was another guy. These were the characters, right? And this is in YMCA, we had a rest day. But the day we got there, it was very cold. Some of them, including Modi and also Vasu, I guess, slept in tent outside.
Yeah.
And Iggy, in fact, had washed his socks and left it outside to dry. And he takes out, the video is still there, by the way. He takes in the morning, he takes that and he just bangs it on. And it was frozen.
Ice frozen, yeah.
It was ice frozen. It was like, my God. And the night before, the night we got, evening that we got there, that night we had a bonfire and we were dancing around and we were playing Antakshari and this and that. It was a fantastic evening.
Right.
One of the evenings that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
And but one thing that I must say, Pradeep was always smiling. Whatever goes, whatever comes, he always smiles. Vasu is always planning something.
Yeah.
He has his characters like
Very intense.
Very intense. Yeah. So everyone had their character, and everyone was there in character. And there was Modi who will blend in wherever he is. He is with Nelly and Iggy, were most of the time together because they always joke around.
Right.
And if Modi is with Iggy or Nelly, he'll be jolly. With Vasu, he'll be intense. So I was like, my God, what's going on? Yeah, the riding around was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Nice. So this 2009-10, how did it kind of shape up from there? I remember, I guess Nilgiris also was one of the sponsors.
Tour of Nilgiris was sponsored in 2008, in 2009, also in 2010, I guess. Or no, I do not remember exactly. But
how did it shape up over the next couple of years? Because I was there from 2011, I was seeing, but I had no idea before that.
So 2009, Arun joined in.
Right.
He was a great guide, I must say. He pointed things out, whatever that was going wrong, and he was pretty blunt. I cried at one point in time. In fact, I cried.
Right.
Yeah, literally, seriously, I did. Great guy, very good to work with, and he shaped it up a lot more than I could have thought, or I could have done myself by myself, right? So he shaped it up. He gave it a persona of its own, like that if you ride TFN, you have bragging rights, kind of a thing. It's India's this and India's that and whatnot, right? So that's where and he had a lot of connects in press, so he could reach out to the press and made it more and more popular. And when people heard it, the persona, of course, grew further and further. And that's how it shaped up from there. So, but at the same time, I felt that the idea of touring was moving away from that, or the Tour of Nilgiris was moving away from the idea of touring itself, because the element of racing eventually at some point in time, I had not known, 2011 or
2011, yeah.
2011 came in, right? Good, but not touring for me. And touring has a different place in my heart, right? I mean, if I'm racing, then I'm racing. Tour of Nilgiris, at least initially in my mind, was not for racing.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, but Arun, what's the full name?
Katyar.
Arun Katyar.
Yes.
So I remember, someone mentioning that, he gave a bit of shape to the organization, how it has to be and all that. It kind of got in a bit of professionalism for all that, and also exposure.
Yeah.
Because for me, Tour of Nilgiris was all from Bike Zone. The stories that you guys the photos, the stories you guys used to post and all that. I was like, I started cycling 2008. So, it kind of Tour of Nilgiris also started around that time. And so it kind of became a big aspirational thing for me, right? So when I eventually, signed up in 2011, I was super psyched and rode like crazy to get ready for it. It was a blast.
On your Bulldog, that I remember.
Yeah.
And after that, you were the Biryani Express.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the bulldog, for those who don't know the context, it's my fixed gear bike that I used to ride. I bought when I was in the US in 2010, and got it with me, got it back with me, and that was the only bike that I used to ride all around. And when I signed up for TFN and my registration got accepted, it's like, yeah, I mean, this is the only bike I have. I will ride with this. And, but I was obviously super scared. All the hills, how will I, go on this and all. So I went and rode, trialed and all that, and said, the 6 months before that, I rode like 12,000 kilometers, and I like lost another 10 kilos. And I was like, by the time I got to the tour, I was ready, right?
I know we
Yeah.
talked behind your back. We did talk behind your back. We talked about this guy is super crazy on his fixie with a bull handlebar. He's ripping it apart. Like, no, all the stages he's winning them,
No, not winning, but I was in top 10, I guess, at the end of it.
top three.
Top 10, I would think.
Was it?
Yeah, ninth
Okay.
or something like that.
Okay.
Because I remember BabaVelo won it. Who's that? The foreign guy. He won it. He finished second. There was intense competition between those two.
Yeah.
And we were. I mean, for me, for the first time, racing competitive segments was the first time in 2011, and first time racing for me. I was having a blast,
Yeah.
looking at all of you guys and learning, observing, and I was in, I was having.
I
a
wasn't
blast.
riding 2011, by the way. I couldn't ride.
Right.
Because my work did not allow me. My
Right,
then
right.
boss, and I curse him even today. I won't take his name. Even today, I curse him. I could not ride that. But I actually feel that in a way it was good because that is when the racing started, 2011, and that took the spirit in my mind, at least the way I associate tour with Tour of Nilgiris.
Right.
That actually moved further apart from what I had thought of to be right.
Yeah,
So,
fair enough. You had kind of a certain vision for that.
Yeah.
And, others had a little bit of different vision for it, I guess. It was like modeled about some of the grand fondos that
Yes.
go about,
Yeah, yeah.
outside.
It's not about my vision. I would say it's about what I would like to do personally,
Right, right.
And that's how I started it.
Correct.
And people joined in, and Tour of Nilgiris, the first Tour of Nilgiris happened because of that.
Right.
It took its own shape, but I kept doing
Yeah.
whatever tour that I want to do on my own or with a friend or two, right?
Right.
So yeah, I know. Just after that, in 2011, no, 2012, 2012 beginning, January,
Right.
I actually rode from here to Bhagalpur, my native, in 21 days.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was one of the longest touring that I've done in India.
Right. Amazing. 21 days. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had very basic things, two riding bibs and some money and my mobile phone and my ATM card.
Right.
That was that. I did not take much along with me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is very understandable that you love that free-spirited touring kind of thing. But for me, in 2011, kind of changed my life, I would think, my cycling, my outlook for everything. There is so much that kind of change, right?
I've seen you transform from then to wherever you are. The whole journey as such. I've people in fact aspire to be you. You have done phenomenal.
You've been kind, but yeah, thanks. See, that you never know what inspires someone, to, and what ignites, people, right?
Yeah.
But I've made it a point to kind of spread the word for the love that I have for TFN, because that is something that, as I said, changed my life. But coming to you and the touring, right? Let us talk about what was it like, that 21 days of touring.
A lot of experiences that I'll never forget. One day after the first half. So I used to generally divide my ride in first half and second half. First half I'll do 60% of my ride, and second half remaining 40% generally. And this was the day when I was not necessarily feeling very good, and it was hot, and I rode about 70-80 kilometers in the first half, 4 hours.
Right.
And then I stopped at a tea stall, and I had something to eat. I don't drink tea, but I had something to eat and had some water. And I put my head down on the table, and it seems like I just slept there for 5 hours right there.
Right.
I remember what happened. The day before, in fact, I did not get a proper place to sleep. So, and it was dark by the time, I could get anywhere. So I found the vent below the road. You have those circular pipe kind of thing, big pipe kind of thing. And I found that, and I actually slept. It was warm.
Right.
So I slept in that. And every time there's a vehicle that crosses, I'll wake up. Right? So I could not sleep properly that night. So I put my head down, and in the tea stall, and I wake up 5-6 hours later. It was close to dark, and I'm like, now is this going to be another night that I'll not be able to sleep? And I asked the owner of the shop that, can I stay here overnight? He said, I'll have to lock it from outside.
Right.
Because what if you take things from here? I said, that is a valid thing.
Yeah.
I said, as long as you give me a bottle of water or 2 bottles of water,
Right.
I'm fine. And he said, "Okay, so I'll take 50 rupees. I said, fine, take 50 rupees. And then he gave me proper, thin mattress and a pillow and all that. And he joined 2 benches, and I slept in that.
Wow. Nice makeshift, lodge.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a good one. The second one was, in fact, again, since I wanted to do it as fast as possible, I actually ended up in the middle of nowhere, but a village. This is a village, but there's no lodge or anything, proper lodge or anything that, of course, you will find.
Right.
And there's a mosque, and I said, I'll go there. And I go there, and I talk to Maulana there, and he invites me to his place, and I sleep at his place overnight. And believe me, this is a Muslim, village.
Yeah.
Now Maulana takes me to the what you'll call the common place everyone meets in the village, right?
Right.
He takes me there, and everyone is curious because people look at me in my colorful, jersey kind of a thing, because that's what I had. I took just 2 set of bibs, nothing else.
Yeah.
Right. And Maulana had given me his chappal, so that I could wear them and come along.
Right.
So everyone is very curious, and they had all different kind of things. Why are you doing this? And why would you cycle if you can go by plane? And what kind of cycle is this? This is so awkward. It is so awkward to sit on that, and all different kind of questions.
What were you riding then?
I was riding. Hold on. This was
A road bike?
a road bike. Yes, it was a.
Merida?
Not after Merida. I had a white color one from Venky. He had sold me a second hand.
Right.
I forgot the name of that, but yeah, it was a decent bike. It's half carbon, half aluminium.
Right.
Yeah. So
Ridley, no.
no.
Anyway, yeah.
Orbia. Orbia.
Oh, Orbia.
Orbia,
Yeah.
white color Orbia, yes. So that was the second thing. Third was again in a village, and it was about 9 p.m. People in the villages, they go to the bed pretty early.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I go get into the village and knock on someone's door. They invite me in, and they share their meal with me. And we are talking and we are eating, and then at about 12 o'clock we go to sleep because the kids were very excited in their house.
Right.
So-
This is a cyclist.
yeah. These are the things, really. It was just surreal, to say the least.
Amazing, amazing. No, you love touring and all that, but you also did quite a bit of racing.
I did.
And you were one of the founding members of the team that we are part of now, Spectrum Racing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So how let's talk about the genesis of Spectrum Racing and how were those initial years? Because I came into Spectrum in TFN 2011 actually, but how did it start and how what was it like those initial years?
So there was nothing much really. So BBCH used to happen,
Right.
Bangalore Bicycle
Yeah.
Championship, and me, Murthy, Dr. Arvind Bateja,
Bateja, yeah.
and couple of other folks, Gaurav Dwivedi and a couple of other folks. We were Shiva. Where is he
Shiva.
nowadays, though?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is well. Yeah.
So all of us, we were around the same pace at that time, and we said, okay, since we are around the same pace, let's ride
And
together.
you guys used to ride together on
Yeah.
Outer Ring Road,
Outer
of all
Ring Road, yeah.
places.
Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah.
now riding.
Outer Ring Road we used to ride. It was like out of
Yeah.
all the places.
Yeah.
Ullas Holla, yes.
Yeah, Ullas. Hmm.
Yeah. So we, after one of the races near Nandi Hills, we were sitting and we were like, let's make a team. Everyone is making team.
Right.
So Kimkini Racing was coming up around the same time, and we said, okay, let's make a team.
Right.
We are, old guys. We should make a team together.
Yeah.
Okay, we made a team, and what would be the name of the team? And Dr. Arvind said that I'll sponsor it partly. And since my store's name is the medical store that he has in his hospital, his name is Spectrum Pharmacy or something like that, or
No, it is
physiotherapy.
the Spectrum Physiotherapy. Our one was one of the sponsors.
Dr. Dhananjay.
Dhananjay.
Yes.
He came as one of the sponsors.
Sponsors. Yeah.
Right. So that's how the name came about.
Yes. Yeah. So that's how it.
Right. I remember seeing those old photos where Decathlon white jerseys are there with Spectrum logo
written.
printed.
No, I remember. Yeah.
Nice.
The days.
And this is, and you guys started racing the BBCH and stuff.
Mainly BBCH, but some of us also went to different places after that, right?
Right.
Outside Bangalore, but also in India and outside India as well. You guys also went outside India. I never went outside India racing. I'm like,
Right. No, I think it kind of started in 2015-ish, and because BabaVelo was part of the team,
right.
and he was, all around the world. He used to ride, race, and all that. And I think Gaurav, Shankar, and a few others kind of joined him.
Yeah. Now, I'm kind of. I would rather like to call BabaVelo as Rajesh Nair.
Yeah.
Because to me, these are two different people.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
BabaVelo is Rajesh Nair's online avatar.
Right.
He is not Rajesh Nair.
Yeah.
BabaVelo is BabaVelo. Rajesh Nair is Rajesh Nair. These are two different people.
Explain.
You know it, but let me try and explain it anyways. Meet Rajesh Nair in person. Very nice guy. Like you, me. But if you read him online, he's not. He's not Rajesh Nair. He is BabaVelo. He's a different guy. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. But Rajesh as a person, amazing, so helpful.
I know.
So helpful all the time. All of us learned so much from him.
I know, yes.
I mean, he was like, when he used to come to Bangalore, ride with us, he taught us so much, like pace lining.
He taught us double pace lining and the pace lining, all of that, and what should be looking for and all that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. I'm telling you, we have learned, and that's what I was telling you, right? Rajesh Nair as a person is a very different person. And when I see his post, I cannot say that he's the same person. And that's what I'm kind of, I'm not complaining about it. No. His online version is very entertaining.
Yeah. But he's an amazing
person, yes.
So now what, you moved to Austria in 2016.
Yeah.
And I should mention here that, while going, you donated your bike and all the cycling stuff. You gave it to the team to be used for the youngsters, which our Gagan was one of the primary beneficiary.
Yeah.
He rode that bike, like crazy.
Yeah.
And he became such a strong rider, won medals at the nationals and stuff. Wow. And I would like to, thank you for your generosity there. Because you could just sell them off and go also, right? But you even to this day, I know that if you don't like to sell anything related to cycling, mostly kind of want them to be used by someone who would like to see them used.
Yeah.
So thanks there.
First of all, I must mention that since it was used, and I knew that it is going where it will be used properly, and it was in your custody, and I knew that it will go for the right use. And thanks a lot for taking care of that. Second, cycling is kind of very close to my heart. Selling things is something that selling cycling related things is something that I cannot do. And, if it can be used for better purposes, I would be glad. I'm really glad that it did happen that way. Yeah.
No, and you moved to Austria. And hey, we actually met there in Italy.
Italy, yes.
When we came there in 2019, it was 10 years of Spectrum racing.
Yes.
And we all did Giro del Dolomiti.
Yes.
And you were there.
I was there too.
We met there again.
Yeah.
But what memories? Now, before we talk about that, how did your riding and stuff change once you moved there?
So riding, I did my touring on my own.
Mm-hmm. There in Europe?
Yeah. In Europe,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the social aspect of that I had in India was missing.
Right.
It's still missing mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also not too bad because I miss it. I must say I miss it, but I also like riding by myself. It is kind of meditation for me, right?
Yeah.
So, I miss it, but I also like it. So it's a weird combination of the two. Let me leave it at that. So I did not race. I rode by myself. I kept myself fit. I ran quite a lot because in winter, I think it is easier to run than ride. And where I stayed in Austria, you get out of the house and you can run or you can ride or you can do mountain trails on your mountain bike or you can run mountain trails. It was fantastic that just a kilometer away from my place, there was a lake that you can just swim in. It was fantastic. I did not want to leave that place. For whatever reason that I left, that's a different thing. But that was an amazing place that I lived in for those 4 years. It was just amazing.
Nice, nice. What kind of keeps you busy nowadays? I remember you had an injury that kind of kept you away from cycling for a bit.
Yeah, that was in 2012 when I was here, in fact. So after I completed the Bangalore to Bhagalpur ride, and I got into cycling quite a lot, and I rode a lot. And I was also preparing for an ultra marathon, 100 kilometers.
Wow.
And I lost weight all the way. I went all the way to 56 kilo.
56.
56.
Yeah.
Yes. And muscles around my neck gave up. And you could ask Dr. Arvind Bhateja. He is aware of that. So my discs between C5, C6, and C7, two of those discs bulged out and disturbed my nerves, and I could not move two of my fingers in my right hand. This is the time when I'm in Pune, and the next day I was supposed to go under surgery to get those discs replaced.
Right.
And I sent those MRI reports to Arvind, and he responds that do not do surgery. Whatever it is, do not do surgery. Because surgery will never be anything like original. The artificial disc will never be like anything. And the next morning when I'm supposed to go under surgery, I called them up and said no. And of course, doctors were all miffed that, what the heck, right? But whatever, right? Now, for about 3 months, my life was 90 degrees shifted. I was mostly on the bed.
Wow.
Yeah. And whenever I stood up, whole of my right side would pain like hell. And and that's when I realized the idea of weights, doing weights.
Right.
People who do not do weights and keep doing the cycling and running, they might come across such kind of injuries. The balanced way of doing the whole thing, all of the things together is the right thing to do, rather than actually just. I know everyone likes riding. Whoever is in cycling, they like I did.
Yeah.
But if you forget doing weights, then you are actually not leaving part of your body behind, and that might that might haunt you.
No, it is more so important as we age, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. The muscle loss and all that is very real, and you need to build muscle to or maintain muscle as we age, because it's very important. And to avoid injuries like this and all that. Yeah. So
I took about 2 years to recover completely out of that. But after that, I made sure that I do not do just running or cycling. I also did a little bit of weights. And 2 years, I had, for first year, at least I had collar. I was wearing the neck collar.
Neck collar.
Yeah. And after that, for second half of that 2 years, I had pain in my right arm, but it wasn't that bad. So I could still. But after 2 years, it was some time to time. I used to get some kind of numbness in my hands, but it wasn't that bad.
Right.
So from there, recovery had been good. I have never ignored my upper body. I work out, I do weights, I do cycling, I do running, I do everything. And sometimes I actually nowadays I also love weights, by the way. Doing weights is also something that because once you start doing it, you start liking it. Because there's a different fun to that also.
True.
So I realized that when I do a little too much of weight and I go back to running or cycling, oh my God, it's so hard. And the other way around is also true.
Yeah.
So, but having the right balance is the right thing to do. Do not do anything too much. Just have the right balance. That's what I've been doing. I keep myself fairly fit in a way. If someone asked me to ride 100, 200 kilometers, I can do that. But someone says, hey, let's go for a race. I'll probably not. I mean, I would be able to participate in a race, but would I enjoy it? Maybe not. So I'd not. I still run a half marathon, full marathons once a year. A couple of races, running races that I figured out there, mountain races, particularly for half marathon that I figured out there that I like. So I do that. And
trail or on road?
Trail, mountain
nice,
trail.
Yeah.
And I have, I know someone is going to hate me for saying that. I have my favorite trail in where I live in Munich now, close to Munich now. There are two lakes on two sides of one big mountain, and there are trains to both the lakes. Right. So from Munich, I leave at about 5 a.m. get to one of the lakes, whichever lake that I go to, it doesn't matter. Right. Now, so I go to the lake and then run to the other side, which is about 25 kilometers. Right. And in the process, I gain about 800 to 1,000 meters based on how what route that I take. And then on the other side, I take the train back. And by the time I'm back, it's about 11, 12. And I can still have the rest of my day for myself, right? So that happens to be my favorite trail.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I cannot do that in winter because, of course, it's
yeah.
But yeah, I keep myself during the winter. I keep myself fit using either running outside or going to one of these. I actually started doing HIIT classes. The HIIT strength classes. Now, these are the group classes where you do not have to think about what is your next workout that you're going to do. Everything is laid out for you.
Yeah.
You can choose the variation of weights that you have to do, but everything is laid out for you. And I like that because in that 1 hour, it is taken care of, and you're like, it's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it like in person or online? Or
In person. Yeah. I do not like the online. That's one of the reasons I do not do Zwift either.
Right.
I do not like online things. I create online things. I do not like them.
Nice. Oh, it sounds amazing, man. Like running, trail running sounds amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah. So I mean, you've been keeping yourself fit, doing all these, and you have been in this, endurance space, doing all this stuff. You've been a working athlete as such for a long time now.
Yes.
Right?
True, yeah.
So what are some of the learnings over the years that you would like to share with fellow working athletes?
I think this is life, balance is the key.
Balance is the key, yeah.
Balance is the key. One of the things that I must say that during one of the most difficult times that I was going through in my life, this was when I got separated and divorced, and Corona was also, so what kept me going was my health and my fitness and my fitness journey through that.
Right.
So I think your physical fitness feeds into your mental fitness, and your mental fitness feeds into your physical fitness.
Right.
That will always be there, and if you're not physically fit, you'll mentally be also going down. And that's, I think, again, balance is the most important part. You cannot just keep doing fitness.
Right.
Life has to happen along with it, and fitness has to be part of life.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Amazing, man. Thank you, Ravi. It has been amazing catching up with you and talking about cycling from whatever, now more than 21 years you have been doing this stuff. Yes. Right? Amazing. So lovely to talk to you about all things like yearlies, Bangalore cycling, Bangalore racing, Tour of Nilgiris, now riding and trail running in Europe and all that. So thank you for taking the time and sharing your experience with the Working Athlete podcast.
Thanks a lot, Venky. Thanks a lot for having me. It was good that I could reach out to some more people who could probably do the balancing act there.
Right.
And again, thanks a lot for lending me your bike for the ITT tomorrow that I'm participating in somewhere in Anikal.
Right. Nice. All the best.
Thank you.
That was my conversation with Ravi. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the podcast by subscribing to it on YouTube as well as on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Thanks again for your continuous support. See you next week with another guest.